becomes, you're anesthetized, you're okay, like, doing heinous acts on them, right? You can kill them, you can do bizarre medical experiments on them, like guinea pigs or whatever, right? You can give them Zoloft or whatever, right? Because it doesn't matter, because they're not humans. So that's what the PETA did in reverse by raising animals to the level of humans. They humanized animals. Whenever an animal rights loon starts telling you that animals are people too, I get very nervous. Because here's a person who's now brought humans down to the level of animals. And once you make that, it's a very scary slope.
I was talking to this woman this past week saying that many of my male friends are sick of trying to date women who have dogs. Because often the woman will put her dog before you.
Okay.
And you have to arrange your whole social life with this woman around the dog. And sometimes if she can't get the right sitter, or like you even have to take the dog with you. A friend of mine was saying he wanted to go to Joshua Tree for one long weekend, and so like the woman schlepped the dog along and just like ruined the whole weekend. So I'm telling this woman what a pain it is to try to date women with dogs, and she says, well, for a woman the dog's like part of the family. And I said, I'm not going to date a woman under those situations. I've been there before. I'm not doing it again. I need to be more important to her than the dog. And she says, well, the dog's part of the family, and you know she's had a relationship with the dog longer than you. And I said, I want to come number one in my woman's life. Like, or I'm just not interested. I'm not going to lose out to a dog. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you was, speaking of Zoloft, which medications are you on this week?
I'm on Zoloft and I can't get off no more.
Are you on 100 milligrams?
No, I was done with it last week. I said I'm done with Zoloft. I can't handle it.
But the money.
I know, but I'm seeing I'm going back to the clinic this week, and I'm going to tell them I can't do Zoloft. They're going to either put me on Paxil or Nafril or something else. You know, I got to get the money, but I can't do Zoloft. It was kicking my ass so bad. I'm still coming off of it. I'm still a week later. Haven't been on it, but I'm still feeling some of the effects. You know, so okay. So keep talking about agri-processors.
Yeah, and I love dogs. So this is not an anti-dog thing. I love dogs. The other thing, look, I've covered agri-processors from all sides. I don't have a bone in this fight because I've interviewed Stephen Bloom, the author of Postville, which was a very critical look at agri-processors, and I did 2 long interviews with him. I've interviewed people from all over. I'm friends with Shamaria Rosenberg, who blogs on Failed Messiah, who's like always going after Shalom Raboshkin and agri-processors. But I do have some general thoughts, and one was the absolute glee with which the liberal Jewish world and the non-Orthodox Jewish world just like seized on this story. And I don't think they would have done it if this had been a meat processing firm operated by liberal secular Jews. But because it was a meat processing firm operated by Orthodox religious Jews who dressed funny and had beards, it's like, oh, you know, get them, we're going to pile on them, and then maybe this way the Goyim won't hate us as much because they'll see that, you know, we're against those really Jewy Jews with the beards and dressing in black. So like Jews were just like lining up to condemn agri-process even into the modern Orthodox world. There's like, oh, we're not like the really Orthodox world where they dress in black and wear beards. No, we're you know, right with 21st century ethics, and you know, we condemn the exploitation of workers as though, you know, people with no job skills, like there are just wonderful high-paying jobs out there for them. I don't think so.
Yeah, so basically the PETA people, right, who are motivated by anti-Semitism, that's my opinion, they're just momish anti-Semites, right, causing a blood libel. And I know that because I saw the whole thing. Mm-hmm. I was paying attention to that. I think it was like 5 years ago, long before this whole new Rabushkin case. This was just the OU against PETA, and I saw it, and it was very simple for me to see what the story was and how PETA was just, you know, fallacious. I mean, it was horrible what they did. So I mean, and now you're talking about the Jews who were talking, you know, are involved in this, and they're Jewish anti-Semites. It's just a different form of anti-Semitism. So what you've got is agri-processors and Rubashkin, whether you like them or not, right, are the poster child as the victims for of anti-Semitism, and all the anti-Semites are using them as their whipping boy, right? So even if you don't like Rubashkin, it behooves you to defend them, right? Because these anti-Semites are going to come after you next. You know what I mean? Right this week they're coming after agri-processors. Once they're done, chewing that down, then they're going to come after Luke Ford. And they're going to destroy you. And then they're going to destroy Rabbi Rabs. Then they're going to go and destroy every Fermi Jew that there is. That's the motive. So, you got to stand up against these people. They're terrible.
Now, I got a contrary point.
Okay, go for it.
That now, according to
good discussion, by the way. We don't usually have good discussions.
According to the book Postville by Stephen Bloom, who's a secular Jew who sided very strongly against agri-processors and the Chabad Jews who ran it. He said that the Chabad Jews who ran agri-processors basically didn't speak to non-Jews when they were walking to shul on Shabbat. That they didn't greet them. And I don't know if that was true or not. Like, I don't believe Stephen Bloom would lie, so maybe in the instances he saw, these particular Chabad Jews did not speak to the non-Jews when they passed them on the street on the way to shul.
Okay.
So it reminds me of a point. I once went to a lecture on land use in Los Angeles, and the woman made the point that most problems with Jewish institutions when they try to expand, such as the Museum of Tolerance, they got a lot of surahs from their neighbors.
Oh my God! It was horrible. I drove by that and every row, all the signs.
So most of the trouble, most of the surahs in these situations are set up because Jewish institutions don't interrelate with their neighbors. They don't invite them to events, and they don't make an effort to get along with their neighbors. They just ignore them and then make plans to do expansions. But if you reach out to the community that you're a part of and you talk to people and you invite them to your parties, it's like if you throw a party, you should invite the neighbors, or they're likely to call the police and complain about the noise you're making. But if you invite the neighbors to come to your party to celebrate with you, they're much less likely to call the police.
How come you never invite me to your parties? I'm going to call the cops next time.
And so it's really important that Jews greet everyone with a friendly countenance, on the way to shul, that you have good relations with your neighbors, Jewish or non-Jewish, and if you're having some big party, you have some way of interrelating with your neighbors, to let them know what your plans are, to invite them if that's possible, so that you have a human-to-human connection. You can't just do your own thing and then go, I filed for the proper, permits, let me do what I want. No, that's not how the world works. You have to, get to know your neighbors, you have to be friendly to your neighbors. It's really important that you greet everybody with a friendly countenance.
I don't disagree with you on that. I just want to bring out one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that it's ever happened that a Jewish Fermi organization, or whatever, tried to expand and they were met with resistance from non-Jews. It's always Jews. What happened at the
Museum of
Tolerance?
Yeah.
I used to live there.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't like the caretaker of the museum, but I used to live in Eula, which was connected to it. And it was a well-known story that we couldn't play basketball in the parking lot after 8 or something because the neighbors were complaining.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I was like, who are these neighbors that are complaining? And every one of them had a mezuzah on their door, right? Then when the signs came up, against the Museum of Tolerance, it was like, it's supposed to be like a museum, but what kind of museum has bar mitzvahs? And there was all this stuff, and I was like, no goy writes that, right? So I go to I check out every sign. Every house had a sign in the front, it was called, there's some organization they made up, I forgot what it was called. And every house had a mezuzah.
Yeah.
It was all Jews. It was just you know what I mean? And if there were any Goyim on that block, which I don't know if there were or not, they were just following the lead of the Jews. It was okay, whatever. But it was based on Jewish anti-Semitism, right? Whenever there's a Chabad, and they always make the news somewhere, like in Florida or wherever, that they're trying to expand and the neighbors are complaining and it's all going to be on Fox News, it's always Jews who are complaining. It's always Jews who are complaining. There was a case on Long Island recently I just saw this on the news.